In my opinion, Avatar 3 is going to be the most important film in Cameron's film series, and I've spoken before about how the director's added focus on the storytelling and characters over the visual filmmaking is something that has to pay off for what comes after. A key aspect of this working is the introduction to the Ash People and their leader Varang, as they represent a very different side to the Navi, one that is more antagonistic than we've seen before. Their clan and their leader have the potential to make the Avatar series have that extra depth, and I think it will make the audience more interested in the Navi and their history. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing what we know about the Ash People and Varang from Avatar 3, and why I think their addition will elevate this new film beyond the first two. Before I get into it though, if you want to keep up to date with any of my content surrounding the Avatar sequels, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the Ash People in James Cameron's Avatar 3. So in my opinion, Avatar 3 has the potential to be on another level than the first two films, as it represents the next major evolution in James Cameron's vision of Pandora, promising of course more visual spectacle, but more importantly, deeper storytelling. Each film in the series has introduced us to new environments and cultures, but Avatar Fire and Ash is set to introduce us to the Ash People, a fire-dwelling Navi clan that flips the entire narrative and is unlike anything we've seen before. Now, to begin with, the Ash People, also known as the Mangwan clan, are described as one of the most unsettling Navi groups. Unlike the Omaticaya, who live in harmony with their forests, or the Metkaina, who thrive in the ocean, the Ash People inhabit a land defined by devastation. According to details shared by the director and plot descriptions, the Ash People's home tree and forests were destroyed in a massive volcanic eruption that scorched their homeland and left behind a wasteland of ash, hardened lava, and smoke. This catastrophe not only robbed them of their home, but also severed their connection to Awa. Where most Navi see Awa as a guiding spiritual force that balances life, the Ash People view her as absent and even irrelevant. In their eyes, the eruption proved that Awa either abandoned them or chose to punish them, and so they turned away from her entirely, reshaping their identity around survival, anger, and resilience. So culturally, the Ash People embody the harshness of their land. They smear soot and ash across their bodies, wear headdresses of fiery red and black, and decorate themselves with war paint that makes them appear as if they themselves rose from the flames. Their weapons reflect the same symbolism, as they are known to use fire arrows and scorched earth tactics in battle, something other Navi clans would consider unthinkable. Fire for them is not just a tool but a defining element, as it represents their rage and destruction. And ash in turn symbolises their grief and aftermath. Together, these elements form the cycle that governs their worldview, as grief fuels anger, anger fuels destruction, and destruction leaves only more grief. This belief system marks them as outsiders among the other Navi, who traditionally value balance, reverence, and symbiosis with nature. Also, just as indigenous groups around the world found meaning and sacredness in fire as a force that both destroys and renews, the Ash People could embody a worldview where ash and flame are not merely threats but essential parts of the life cycle. By drawing on the parallels to human history, I think the Ash People can be used to highlight how adversity often shapes identity, resilience, and spiritual richness. They're not just survivors of their environment, but living symbols of transformation and rebirth. Coming to one of the most intriguing aspects of the Ash People, their leader Varang, played by Oona Chaplin, embodies their worldview with unyielding conviction. James Cameron has described her as one of the most complex figures in the Avatar saga and one of the best antagonists he's ever put on screen, a woman hardened by trauma who considers herself the hero of her people, even as others see her as dangerous. Unlike the Navi clans we've seen so far, Varang does not embody harmony with Awa or the natural beauty of Pandora. Instead, she represents the scars of a people whose world was shattered by fire and left to live among the ashes. For her, Awa is powerless, absent, or perhaps even indifferent, and so she has built her leadership around strength, defiance, and the raw will to survive. But also, Chaplin's character is not the kind who fits neatly into that role of a pure villain. James Cameron himself has described her as someone who considers herself the hero of her story, even if others see her differently. This is what makes her so intriguing and unsettling, as she does not see her choices as wicked or corrupt, but in fact necessary. Her people are alive because she has been willing to embrace harsh truths, fight without hesitation, and reject traditions that no longer serve them. Her comments to Kiri at the end of the first trailer, "Your goddess has no dominion here," is not just a personal rejection of Eywa, but the rallying cry of an entire clan that has chosen to walk a darker path. To her followers, she is a saviour who has given them the strength to endure a land of fire, ash and despair. And yet to the outsiders, she is a dangerous force, a leader willing to ally with the human RDA or adopt destructive tactics that no other Navi clan would dare to use. Apparently, Chaplin immersed herself deeply into Varang's mindset while preparing for the role, surrounding herself with unsettling imagery, heavy metal music, and throat singing to capture the weight of the character's inner world. The actress explains that Varang is a woman who has endured imaginable trauma, and that everything about her, the way she moves, speaks, and even carries her pain, reflects the harshness of the environment that shaped her. Cameron designed her this way deliberately, as he wanted a figure who challenges not just Jake Sully and his family, but also the audience's assumptions about the Navi. Up until now, the Navi has been portrayed as deeply spiritual, noble, and united in their reverence for Pandora. But Varang shatters that image, showing that even Eywa's children can fracture, turn inward, and build an identity around grief and anger. What makes Varang even more compelling is the mirror she holds up to Jake and Neytiri. After the death of their son Netayam in the Way of Water, the Sullys are carrying their own grief and anger into this new film. So Varang represents the dangerous path they could take if they let their pain sever their faith in Eywa. She in many ways is the embodiment of what happens when loss consumes a people, with spirituality fading, survival replacing harmony, and violence becoming the only language of strength. The conflict between Jake's family and Varang's clan will not simply be a battle of weapons, but a total clash of philosophies, showcasing faith versus rejection, balance versus rage, and renewal versus despair. So for Cameron, introducing Varang is a way of breaking away from the simple human versus Navi structure of the first two films. She complicates the moral landscape of Pandora by proving that the Navi are not immune to division or corruption. By leading a clan that might even ally with the humans against other Navi, Varang transforms the conflict into something far more personal and tragic. And her presence suggests that Pandora's greatest struggles are not just external invasions, but also internal fractures. Essentially, what happens when grief reshapes entire cultures and when survival demands choices that defy tradition. In short, Varang is not simply a new antagonist, but a symbol of Pandora's scars. She is a reminder that the Navi, for all of their spirituality and beauty, are not perfect beings. They can suffer, they can fracture, and they can walk away from Eywa's light. So through Varang, Fire and Ash promises to deliver a story that is not just about protecting Pandora from outside threats, but about facing the darkness that can grow within. So why do I think that the Ash People and Varang can really take Cameron's franchise in a positive new direction? Well, as I went into, their introduction shifts the moral landscape of the entire series. Also, both visually and thematically, the Ash People represent Pandora's scars. Their homeland is not the lush jungle or vibrant reef audiences are used to, but a bleak volcanic terrain where survival requires constant adaptation. Their existence demonstrates that even Pandora, with all of its beauty, is not immune to destruction, and that the Navi themselves are not unshakable paragons of harmony. Cameron has explained that Fire and Ash explores the duality of fire as both life-giving and destructive, and the Ash People embody this theme fully. In their story, Cameron dares to show that even the Navi can fracture, and that survival without faith comes at a spiritual cost. So the Ash People are expected to play a pivotal role in reshaping Pandora's political and spiritual landscape. As a Navi clan that has openly rejected Eywa, they represent something audiences have not yet seen, a people who are Navi in body but fundamentally different in philosophy. Their potential alliance with the RDA sets the stage for an unprecedented conflict, because unlike past battles where the lines were clearly drawn between humans and Navi, this time the threat comes from within Pandora and the Navi themselves. If the Ash people truly side with the RDA, they would not only provide the humans with insider knowledge of Navi tactics, but also prove that even the Navi can fracture and turn against one another. This blurs the moral boundaries of the saga, showing that survival, grief and anger can push even Awa's children into darkness. Jake clings on to his duty and faith in Awa, while Neytiri struggles with her own rage and sorrow. The Ash people under Varang's leadership embody the path of surrendering to grief and turning away from Awa. This creates not only a physical battle, but a profound philosophical struggle. And that is the question, does loss deepen one's connection to Pandora's great balance, or does it sever it forever? So in confronting Varang and her people, the Sullys are essentially confronting the darker potential within themselves. Narratively, James Cameron has hinted that this chapter of the saga is meant to push the story into new, riskier territory, and I think the Ash people's inclusion also opens the door for deeper political storytelling. For instance, how will other clans respond to the Ash people's rejection of Awa? Will some view them as cursed and dangerous, or will others sympathise with their suffering? Such divisions could fracture Pandora further, making it vulnerable to human exploitation at the exact moment when unity is needed. So ultimately, the Ash people's role seems to be to challenge both the characters and the audience to confront uncomfortable truths. They force us to see that the Navi are not immune to despair or corruption, and that Pandora itself is not simply a paradise but a living world marked by scars. Whether the Ash people remain antagonists, shift into reluctant allies, or become a cautionary tale, their presence guarantees that the story of Fire and Ash will be much more morally complex, emotionally raw, and spiritually unsettling than anything in the series so far. Cameron has said that Avatar must keep breaking molds, otherwise it risks stagnation. So by giving us a Navi clan like this, he pushes audiences to think more deeply about the storytelling aspects and characters of his universe. But that was my video discussing the Ash people in Avatar 3. We'll have to see what James Cameron and his creative team produce with their new film, but I think there's a lot of potential with all the new characters and plot elements being introduced to really elevate the saga beyond what we've already seen. The recent trailer was a perfect way to kickstart the marketing for the film, and it got me particularly excited for our introduction to the Ash people and their leader Varang. But what elements and characters are you most excited for surrounding the new Avatar film? Let me know down below in the comment section. For much more videos and news on James Cameron's Avatar universe, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.